let's start. That thing fired so quick. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Corvette video. I know this is all I do, but this car's got me obsessed, and I'm so close, I think. 2 weeks. That's what I keep telling myself, 2 weeks. But it's still always 2 weeks, even though it's been a month. So, yeah, it's coming along. I got the cluster put back in for right now, and I wanted to show you guys what I did. So, I put the cluster back in. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, but I put the cluster back in, and it was kind of going haywire. The light was really dim right here, and I was confused because I tested it and the bulb does work, but it was like nothing going on. So what I ended up doing was replacing the bulb, the one in the top and lower section, which is not too difficult. I didn't really show it on camera just because I was kind of troubleshooting, but I bought bulbs without the actual twist housings. I could just recommend get them with the twist housings because it makes it easier. Because what I ended up doing was busting the old bulbs out. You got to break the solder joints and push the bulbs out of the sockets, and then put your own bulbs in and bend the tabs. And they're not soldered in like I'd like, but I think it'll be okay. I can always pull the cluster back out. It's really not the end of the world. You just got to pull the column down. So someday, if I have a problem, I'll fix it then. I think for right now, it's working. So I think I'm just gonna send it. And what I have here is kind of a crazy thing. So last time I plugged it in, I don't know, I didn't screw it in, and I'm almost wondering if I had it like half plugged in or something, and the ground was like not doing good, because the tack was going up to $3,000 when I would key it on, and I was like, what is this? It was not broken before. It was really upsetting me, and so I just couldn't figure out what was the problem. So what I ended up doing was going online, reading way too much about it, and realizing that there's a IC chip in the cluster that goes bad, and it ends up, the resistance in there is it fluctuates or changes over time, and it wears out, and then your tack will read off. It'll read high. So I was like, oh, that's got to be my problem. The chip's dead, but it just doesn't make any sense because I had the cluster out, and I think it's fine because I just plugged it all back in. I soldered the little wires onto the board like they say, and they want you to solder the wires on the board and then put a 1 mega ohm transistor, or it's basically a potentiometer. It's a variable resistor, and you can turn this dial, change the resistance that goes across those two pins on the IC chip, and it will actually calibrate your tack. So everybody says to do that, measure the resistance of this, and then put a resistor in there and cut the legs on the IC chip. But I don't want to do that. And you could buy a chip from Beatty.com or whatever, the Corvette cluster. He does all the electronics rebuilds and stuff. I know this is long-winded, but this is all really good Corvette info if you guys are into this stuff. This is like hours of reading on forums condensed into like a minute, so I'm sorry. But you got all these wires. You do like a twisted wire section, cancel out the EMI, and then you run this thing. You will turn this in to dial in your needle, and you're supposed to drive down the road 65 and see a certain RPM, and that's how you know it's calibrated. So I may still do that. I'm gonna just leave this on here because I booted it up and it was like at zeroed out, and the thing was down at the bottom again. It was a little bit below zero, and I turned this and it moved. So I'll show you guys the operation of this maybe a little later when we're calibrating it, if we do. But I'm just gonna leave it on. I think I'm gonna throw some tape over it so it doesn't spin, although I don't think it will, and it should be fine. So I think I'm just gonna zip the screws back in the cluster, and I'd love to take it all back out and show you guys what I did, but I just, in the interest of time, and I'll probably break it again, I think I'm just gonna put it back together because everything works. I only changed these two bulbs in the center because all the other bulbs work fine. They are bright enough, I will say. Here, let me boot it up. Let me boot it up because I got the jump box right here. The headlights are going. Okay, so now we can turn it on. We have light, and see, it doesn't work fully unless if I push all the way on here. That's when we get our stuff, because it's not fully plugged in. Yeah, see, I think that's the issue here, is the cluster's not fully plugged in, and it's getting keyed up with the cluster not fully plugged in, and that's why things aren't working correctly. So I have to key it up to see all the accurate mileage and everything, but you can see the light actually works. And then if we cover that light sensor, the photo sensor, I think it does dim out. So the photo sensor's over here. That's something I was thinking was bad as well. So if I uncover the photo sensor, it seems like it gets brighter. So I'm thinking the photo sensor does work, which is awesome. And my bulb choice has worked as well. And hopefully we'll get our mileage back when we key it up and all that good stuff. And the cluster too, once we key it up, it'll jump. So yeah, we're fixed there, so I'm happy. I'm gonna screw the cluster in and start putting the trim piece and all those little things on. And also, it rained yesterday and there is no water in here, which is amazing to me. Let me turn this off. Love those headlights, guys. Can't wait. Can't wait to rip this thing. I'm so pumped. All right, so now, Viking Trader wanted me to show the RPO codes, so I'm gonna have to go get those. He's been commenting on the videos, giving me some pointers here and there, talking Corvette stuff, you know, so it's good. I gotta get more people interested in the Corvette. I think it's a really sick project. I was gonna show you no water. I taped the weather strip on this side, just because I'm pretty sure this weather strip's leaking, so I blue taped the whole thing, and it did not leak any water. It rained yesterday, maybe not that hard, but it did rain, and I did not get any water in there, so I have to wait for the next hard rainstorm. I want like a really nice downpour to be able to tell if this thing's gonna leak any water, and then we'll throw the interior back in after we know it's not gonna leak. So that's pretty sweet. And the weather strips are on their way, so I have got a big 7-piece kit and window moldings too, the outside scrapers. So we got to do all the weather strips in that too. We got a really good deal, like I said in the last video, so couldn't resist, and it needs it. You know, everything's all deteriorated, so we'll get it all fixed up. So yeah, I'm gonna slap some stuff back together, and I want to fire it, but I just want to clean out the fuel tank stuff first. So I may try to suck out the gas tank and put some fresh 93. I got the new fuel filter. We should be able to run this thing for a little while, and it's new coolant and stuff today. So that's the plan. Maybe we can get some movement out of this thing. I don't know about that. That's a little far-fetched, but this week maybe. It's coming up. So I got the rear section taken off where the gas tank access is here, where the fuel sending unit comes out. So I took off all the hose clamps, and I bent this, which I think it was a 90-degree pick, or 45. Bent it straight, and then bent myself my own 90 as a nice little hose hook. So I'm gonna go in here and go around, try to free up these guys. And I'd like to put a little bit of grease on this to try to help it go in easier. I've seen that before. So I may spray that, or spray a little bit of silicone on here. I think Sil Glide I've heard works, or there's certain things that are like designed for this, but any sort of lubricant will probably help you out getting these hoses off. I don't know if I'd use WD. I don't know if that's good for the rubber. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna try to get these hoses broken off. This is probably the feed, this is probably the return, and then this is the vent line here. So I'll try to get all those guys taken off, and then once those are all broken loose, we will move them out of the way, get the 10s off, and this thing should come right out. It's really not a hard fuel pump to take out. That's why it's like, I might as well do it. If it was a regular vehicle in tank, unless it sat for 30 years, I probably wouldn't take it all apart like this, but this is just going to be too easy. I don't want to have any problems, so might as well know that there's no crap in the gas tank. So we'll just yank this apart real quick. So I got the fuel pump out here, and hopefully it still works because I kind of kicked it earlier, but we're just going to pretend that I didn't do that. And yeah, everything looks pretty good here. Honestly, the hardest part was getting this section off. It was like double clamped, and it's long, so it's actually in the hose like really far. So I used this, you know, little homemade hose pick situation here. Got it out. It's kind of rotted on the bottom side, which I'm a little concerned about. It's like a little crispy. So I was thinking about running a Beta RTV just along the inside here on this thing, and then hopefully it'll seal on this. I wiped the whole tank out with a rag, trying to get everything clean. And so I sucked it out with a fluid transfer pump first, and then wiped it out with a rag. So it's pretty clean. I got some fresh 93 octane, so we'll be putting that in, and then we can hopefully fire this thing up and see if it runs good on the fresh gasoline. So that's the plan. I gotta put new O-rings on these bolts too, because they had O-rings and they all ripped apart. So I have a universal O-ring kit. I'm gonna try to get some O-rings that'll fit, and we'll do that too. So that's what's in store for today. We'll see if we can get this thing fired back up. So, like I said, put a little bit of silicone. I tried to replace the O-rings on the bolts with some of these universal O-rings I had here, and put it back down. So hopefully we don't get any leaks. And I see a little bit of silicone right there. Tried to put it on the inside edge, so hopefully it did its job. I don't know if it's gonna be a problem or not. We will find out, but shouldn't have any fuel leaks. It may just be an evap leak or something like that. So if we end up with an evap leak, I'll smoke it and I'll see if it's here or somewhere else, or we'll just send it. But you can see here where the this quarter panel was glued on, this red one, before it was repainted. You can see where it was glued and where they had their sanding and tape lines for the paint. And they clearly painted this whole car because of the way they taped this here. You know, they painted here, they painted there. So I think this whole car was painted. It's pretty crazy to me that they did that. I wonder how bad it was actually wrecked. Maybe they saved this fender and the other side had to be replaced or something like that. The quarter panel, I don't know. So this car definitely has a history here. I wonder what kind of stories it could tell. But yeah, RPO codes. I got distracted earlier. Let's go look at the RPOs. I'm gonna put some new gas in this thing and try to fire it up in a few minutes. Should run, I hope. I don't see why not. So here's the RPOs. Here you see LT1. He asked if it has JL5 or J55, or I don't remember what it was, but I don't believe it has that. This car I don't think has many options. It is pretty bare bones, but if you guys want, that's the look at the RPOs, and if you want to pause it there or something like that, that'd be a good time to do it and check them out if you're interested. I don't know what it has. I'll look it up as I see fit. I looked up the gear ratio already, and I don't even remember what it was, but you know, it's probably got the crap brakes. Nothing crazy, nothing good, but it is an LT1. It's a base car, I think, so that's why it doesn't have many of the options. Doesn't have the power bolsters and all that cool stuff that would certainly be nice, but also more stuff to break. So I'm not gonna complain. It would be cool if it had all the stuff, but I'm not gonna complain. It hopefully will run today, so I'm gonna put some gas in it. We'll fire this thing up. Excuse me. Alright guys, moment of truth. First time I'm gonna fire this thing up since I had it all apart. So, just gonna make sure everything's in working order. This is kind of the nerve-wracking part. So, we'll see. I got the battery in it. I think everything is as it should be. Got coolant on it. Now I got oil in it. I got fuel lines that I disconnected or reconnected. I got to prime the pump maybe a couple times here. See if we can get something to happen. Clutch pedal. Prime the pump again. Alright, let's fire it. That thing fired so quick. She fired up so quick, guys. Oh my goodness, that was fast. So quick. Okay, so she runs good, guys. I just got a few more things to do here. I don't like the way this battery is in here because it doesn't really get held down because the tray's broken. So I don't know if that was due to an accident or smash this wheel liner into it or something. Hopefully when I bolt this down back to the liner, it gets more rigid. I'm gonna put this panel in here, but I'd like to do something about this battery. I gotta see if I can get a new battery tray. Maybe could try to fix this or fabricate it. I'm gonna see how much a new battery tray is first. If it's like inside of $100, might just do it. Battery, you know, you don't want it flying around. Could just ratchet strap it or something, but I don't know if I want to do that. I could make some sort of tie down for it as well. I don't know. I could probably do something. I just don't know how far I want to take it or if I just want to buy the right thing. So we'll look into that. And yeah, it ran really good. I had a thing where it was misfiring. It said low coolant, so I had swapped the plug for the washer fluid reservoir and the washer fluid pump. I'm sorry, not the washer fluid reservoir, the coolant reservoir and the washer fluid pump. And that was stupid because like the wires going to the pump are supposed to be big, and I sent the big wires to the low washer fluid switch, which, you know, I don't think it would cause any issues drivability wise, but it was weird because it was misfiring and stuff, and then I fired it up again and it seems like the misfire went away. So I don't know if it's just got to be cleaned out or if there's like an OptiSpark problem. Not really sure. I'm gonna have to drive it and beat on it and just see what it's like, but it cools itself. I swapped the sensor out of the jug, and now the low coolant light went away. I have no warning lights on my little box. Granted, I didn't check all the bulbs. Could have a bad bulb or something. But probably should do like a gauge test on that thing. But I have no lights on, which is kind of sweet. So I'm excited about that. I'd rather just rock with no lights, even if there's a problem. We'll see what doesn't work, and then I'll go from there. But I think we'll be okay. So I'm gonna just keep piecing things together here as I see fit. Now that I know the mileage and everything is good on the cluster, the mileage displays, the backlights there, seems like the tach's working again fine. So I think everything's good with the cluster, and I know everything is probably good with the water leak, so I can start putting some other stuff back together. I gotta figure out how the console section goes and some other things, but yeah, I'm just gonna try to see what I can put on and not have to worry about taking back off. I'd like to put the carpets in, but I'm still nervous about the water leak. So I just need to get a nice leak check on this thing, and then once it rains again really good, then I'll be putting the interior back in. But I don't want to rush it, because if I do, then it'll surely bite me. So yeah, that's that. Just gonna go ahead and keep going. I did a carbon clean on the throttle blade, so I didn't have any Kit 200 like the carb clean, so I just used gasoline, some of the old bad gas I sucked out of the tank. And I put a bunch of fresh 93 in there, so we're doing good. It ran pretty good, honestly. After it stopped misfiring and doing weird shit, it like pepped up, and it was pretty responsive. I was ripping the throttle. Posted a couple videos on the Snapchat. You know, I cleaned the engine air filter as well. It's like a K&N drop-in, so I had some filter cleaner, spray it all out, and got all the oil out of it, and then put some new filter oil in it. So yeah, I'm excited to get this thing registered and get it on the road, guys. It's coming together. So. Just gotta keep going. So I spent a little time cleaning up in the garage so I can pull this thing in. We're expecting some rain for the next couple weeks, so it'll be a good chance to test if the car is gonna leak before I put the interior back in. So I did clean out a section of the garage to park it. So we took the top off, and to my surprise, it came off really nice. Wasn't binding up in any area, which is what I was concerned about, like if the body's tweaked, but it seems like it came off really nicely. And this weather strip up here is not really in the worst shape. We're still going to change it because the corners are shot. So this one piece comes as one unit, the rear section comes as one, and then you got two separate side ones, and then the door ones. And that's pretty much all the weather strips in the car, guys. It's pretty much it. There's these things too, but I don't know if we'll need those. We're just gonna have to change everything that we got and check it out. So yeah, it looks really good with the top off. It's pretty sick. I never thought I'd have a convertible, but I guess it's technically, you know, Targa top, so it is a convertible hardtop, Targa top, if you will. But it is a cool feature, you know. I mean, what's nicer than that? So pretty excited about that. Definitely be a nice cruiser. And I can stash this thing right in the back. You can take it off yourself. So yeah, it's not that heavy. I gotta reattach the headliner, so I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that. I'm not really sure how to get this apart, so I'm gonna have to look into how to get it apart so I can rewrap this headliner. I have to respray it and reattach, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty clean up there too. So looking good. Next step, I'm gonna rip these old weather strips out. So I'm thinking about trying to make like a comprehensive video on the weather strips and how I do it with all of them, but it would be a long video. So I may just remove the weather strips in this one and make another video about installing them. So I'll let you guys know how I remove them. I know there's some clips here and there that we've got to take out, some plastic trim clips in there. So we're just gonna pry those out gently, even if I rip the old weather strips off, and then go after the clips later. I don't want to wreck the clips. We're gonna need to reuse them. So that's kind of what I plan on doing here. I guess I'll need two hands. It's probably glued in there. I may have to use a screwdriver to scrape it out of this channel because it stuffed in that channel there. But my weather strip adhesive isn't here yet. Also, I think it's painted in there because I think when they painted the car, they didn't remove the weather strip, so it's all painted in there. So I'm gonna make sure I don't peel any of the paint off as I go down here. But yeah, it's just the nature of this car. It was definitely had a lot of body work going on. So I got all the old weather strip out of the rear section here, and you can see basically it's a channel and it holds the weather strip in on both sides, so you have to kind of tuck it. It's like an aluminum rail. There's three of them. There's one on each side and one in the middle, and they're held in by Phillips screws. So this was glued pretty good. It was kind of a pain to get off, I would say. I mean, it's better than it falling off, but I think the weather strip adhesive is really good, and these edges here seem to hold it really well. So it was really glued in there good. So I think what we're gonna do when we glue the new one on is just put a little dab on each screw and maybe a dot in between as well. So I'm just gonna put like little sections, and that way, if I ever need, not that I will, but if I ever have to, or somebody else has to redo it in the future, it won't be so like crazy, because it was a lot of glue on there. I ended up using a chisel. That was my preferred method here. You kind of got to be careful. I only made like a small nick up here on the top because I was being stupid, but you won't notice. It's also fiberglass, so it won't rust, which is nice. But everywhere I look, I'm like, this whole car has been repainted, and it's so funny, like the way that they taped the line here and everything. But you don't know that till you get this deep with a car. I mean, I feel like I would have noticed as soon as it was cleaned out. That's just, you know. Anyway, whatever. The tool that I used was this guy right here. So he was really good at removing. So you kind of go in here, and then I also used a pick, and I would stick the pick in the edge here around the corner and scrape all on the inside here, just to try to get everything out that I could. And I still have to remove these. I want to try to be careful not to break these. So I'm going to try to go in there and lift these tabs off. And once I do that, we should be all set to glue the new one in. I'm just waiting on the weather strip adhesive to show up. So I'm going to probably put this thing in the driveway. Put it in the garage. It's in the driveway now. It's weird. It is crooked. Like, this side looks like it's more forward than the other side. But I don't know. I didn't have any problems with it leaking, so I'm probably just going to put it back the way it is right now and not touch it. I don't want to try to shift the rail, and just don't fix it if it's not broken. It wasn't leaking, so we're going to put a new strip, and it should be good. And yeah, so I will show you guys what came. And this next video, I'm going to do definitely some more on this. But the weather strips came, and I got to show you guys where I got it from. Corvette America, or also known as Top Flight Automotive. So these guys really hooked me up, gave me a sweet discount because I asked for it, really. I was like, I'm doing the YouTube channel and I want to try to put some content out there, and I totally would love to give you guys a shout, and they hooked me up. Really was awesome, and she was, you know, able to just give me the best price here and allowed me to do this for way cheaper than I would have had to pay through a lot of other companies. Honestly, they have a really good affordable solution for weather strips, so I'm excited to be able to renew this car with new weather strips and buffed out paint and everything like that. This car should look really good, guys. I mean, at a it's gonna be a 20-foot job with all the body work. That's bad, but like going down the road, you're never gonna know. Like, this thing's gonna look so good, and just like anybody getting into it, just the first thing you look at is all this weather strip, and when this is all nasty and rotted, it looks bad. So to have a brand new weather strip on there, I'm so stoked. So I can't wait to bring that to you guys probably in the next video. So I may just work on removing some more of this stuff here and pulling it in the garage tonight, and that's probably all I'll do. And in the coming days, I will start installing these weather strips. Alright, so she is in, and I didn't crash. So, yeah, not too bad for sitting on an interstate battery. I guess they are good for one thing, interstate batteries. Just kidding. These are usually pretty good batteries, but I got a new Delco battery in there, courtesy of work. Got that thing for free. So, we got the top off. That's crazy. You saw me peeking through the thing. I obviously sit pretty high with the battery in there. So easy to drive. I didn't even have to give it any gas. I idled it right in here, just pull strong. You heard how fast it starts up? It just cranks right over on a cold start. This thing starts so good. So I don't know, this thing's definitely healthy. I can't wait to put it through its paces. Just driving it that much lowered the suspension a little bit. It's sitting down low again. So at least we got it inside if it rains. So now we're in here to work on it. So yeah, definitely gonna get to work on this as soon as I get my weather strip adhesive. I'll start gluing these weather strips in, and we'll get all these panels back in, and then once all the weather strips are all changed out, we'll pull it back outside hopefully and check if it leaks or not. And then once we know if it leaks or not, then we can just throw the interior back in, and we're home free. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this shorter Corvette video again, and next one we'll be installing weather strips, so stick around for that. Thank you all for watching, and can't wait until we start buffing this thing. The paint, I think, is going to come right back. It's going to be so sweet.